Paul and Silas bound in jail had no money for their bail. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Paul and Silas thought they were lost. Dungeon shook and the chains come off. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. A freedom's name is mighty sweet, and soon we're gonna meet. To keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Got my hand on the gospel plow. Won't take nothing for me for my journey now. Keep my eyes on the prize and move on. Hold on, move on. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Now that doesn't mean like be white-knuckled and hold on. Not that kind of hold on. It's the step forward, hold on. Step forward into action on. It means keeping that positive thinking, those solution-based thinking, hold on. It means having an open mind, hold on. It means having a revolution in your heart, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
And that you hold on. And you know, I don't know that they could hold on. Sometimes it's hard to keep your mind someplace, but then you start singing a song, and the song takes you. So I can just see them starting to sing a song. I don't know how the chains fell off. It might be a metaphor, I don't know, but I have watched people come up against something, and they held on to their faith, they held on to their belief, they held on to their connection to God, and things shifted. I just got a note recently from a woman who was diagnosed again with cancer, and the doctors were like, not looking good. And she held on to her faith. She did her work. She got prayer partners. She took care of herself. And she held the vision of her being absolutely in remission. And she's now in remission. And it's easy to succumb to the immediate. The immediate. Like, the immediate is, this isn't comfortable. The immediate is, they don't get along. The immediate is, what are we going through? The immediate is all of the chatter, and yet what we are asked to hold on to, I think, is not the immediate, but the immense eternity, the depth of God. To hold on to that. Because we are connected to that, but our mind is Our mind can go we talk about freedom, our mind can go into chatter or our mind can go deep. Our heart can be dismayed or our heart can stay with what we know to be eternally true. So thank you. I love that song. I don't know what happened. It just hit me differently this time. I'm loving it. Second service. It's always a new experience. Today's talk title that was selected by our national organization is None Are Free Until All Are Free. And I really grappled with that until I realized that here's what I believe about freedom, because freedom does not mean license. Freedom is liberty, but it's a heart thing. It's a mind thing. Viktor Frankl said that freedom was, or I should say it this way. Viktor Frankl said how we think is our final freedom. No matter what they're doing to you, how you think about it is what creates your experience. And he came up with that idea while he was in a concentration camp. But freedom does not mean license, because there's a lot of people who are saying, I'm free, you can't make me do this. I don't want to do this. I'm free, I don't have to do this. It's like you don't have license to put other people in danger. Just because you're free, you should not drive on a one-way street the wrong way, because that will put people in danger. That's craziness. That's not freedom. That's contrariness. And you're free to be contrary, but you're also free then for the ramifications of that contrariness. So choose you this day. I love that. I'm just full of the Bible recently. Choose you this day whom you will serve, your liberty or your contrariness. Your freedom to be okay with what's going on, or your contrariness and said, I don't want to play. All right, but I want to talk about some other types of freedom. I was so impressed, and I shared this about a few weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was so impressed with FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he said what his country was fighting for in World War II. I love it. This is what we're for. I have been around I was going to say around the block, but that always has weird connotations, so I won't say that. In fact, actually, Beverly over there went, no, maybe not. Anyway, I've been around the sun a bunch of times. I've been around the sun, and I've watched us have, I don't know, what do we call it when it's not war? It sure looks like war. Looks like we go into war, our country, and I never know what we're doing it for. We always seem to be against something, but I'm not sure what we're for. But FDR, in the middle of, I read it in the middle of World War II, he said what we're doing this for. He said we are fighting for the 4 freedoms. 4 freedoms. The freedom of speech, the freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear on a global level. The globe, this planet, every country, every person in every country, which should cover everybody, should have some basic rights, which are 4 freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And I can get behind that. He wrote that in 1942, and I can be behind that. And it reminds me of Ernest Holmes, because Ernest Holmes said, we need to be a people who are for something and against nothing. It's too easy to be against something. It's like, that's the easy road. I don't like this. You can't make me. What's that sound like? Sounds like a 2-year-old. I'm sorry, I was going to give him at least junior high, but Beverly says 2, so I'll go with that. It's just, that's not freedom. That's, once again, contrariness. I want to have those 4 basic freedoms for myself. I want those 4 basic freedoms for my family and my friends, this community, and every community. As a spirit-centered person, I want all to feel the support of the universe and to have that outplayed in their life and in the lives of their children. See, one of the basic premises of this particular religion, this particular philosophy, this way of life, I'm not sure it's a religion, but it's certainly a philosophy, a spirituality, a way of life. What is it? The first founding principle is of oneness and interconnectedness. And we're not saying we're all created equal. We're all created or the same. We're not the same. We're not equal. We're not identical. But we're all a wonderful, unique, various expression of this one life, and therefore everything is important. Every person is important, and every person has a place in the grand scheme of things. And I guess maybe it is equal in a really strange way, but it's a strange way like as in I can't sing and Beverly can. I'm not equal to Beverly in singing. I ride horses probably better than Beverly. Beverly's not equal to me in riding horses. But we're special and unique and important in our own way. And that way completes this beautiful, wonderful design called life. I'm for that. I'm for that. I actually had philosophical arguments on the internet with some of my ministerial colleagues this last week, because they wondered if we really could say something like, none are free until all are free. And so here's my argument for them. First of all, socially and culturally, if one group of people is not afforded the same freedoms as another group of people, the people with the most freedom are always going to have to be busy maintaining their superiority, so they're not free. They're busy maintaining status quo. Personally, as we wake up, it's difficult to see others suffer, and we're not free or to enjoy our freedoms as others are suffering, because our suffering and their suffering, it's called compassion. Compassion. Passion meant suffering. Compassion means to suffer with, to say, I care about you. Your wound affects me. It's not codependent. It's the way we start to behave and think when we know that we're more than our body and more than our tribe, and everything starts to call to us to be part of the healing process. That's personally. I am freer when I realize what it says in the Bible, that we are all the body of Christ. I don't know if I'd say the body of Christ, because for some of you that is, not your word, but we're all the body of the universe. And what affects part of the body affects the other part of the body. I might be a liver and someone else might be a heart, but if the liver's not functioning, pretty soon this heart's in trouble. And if the heart doesn't function, pretty soon the liver's in trouble. And every other aspect of the body. We need each other. So I look at freedom as health. Freedom is as an opportunity to express life. I'm not free to express the fullness of life until everyone around me is expressing the fullness of life. I realize that I'm called not so much to talk about freedom as to talk about that which will grant us freedom, and that's love. Freedom can be hard to talk about. We can say this people aren't free, or that's not free, or I'm not free. We can feel our own bondages, but we can talk about it, but it becomes almost philosophical until we talk about the antidote to a lack of freedom. And the antidote to that is more love. The more I love, the freer I become. People who have done amazing things could do those things and choose to do them because they were so full of love. They could withstand the slings and arrows of other people because of love. They could stand up for their rights and the rights of others because of love. I'm reminded of the song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And boy, we should have that as a theme song. Love is a power. It's not a sentiment. And the best way to prove the power of love is to lovingly embrace your best teacher for love, and the best teacher for love is your enemy. Even Jesus said, even people you don't like love their friends and family. That's no biggie. Now love the person you don't love. Now that's the spiritual path. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about enemies as a spiritual path to love, which is a spiritual path to freedom. Enemy in the what's written in what we call the New Testament was a word originally spoken in Aramaic, and it meant to be out of sync with, to be contrary to. And then most of the time we're out of sync with someone because they don't agree with us or do things our way. Therefore, they're not deserving of our love and respect, and they're just because they're different. We're out of sync. And they are our growing edge, and they are where the rubber meets the road on the path to enlightenment. Yea, enemies. I should take a picture of this. We've got people's pictures from our congregation and the few chairs we've got in here. And if we were all in here, I'd say, yay, enemies. And these people are so nice that some of them would actually say that. But that's what we have to say. So, if nobody's around you and you don't have to embarrass yourself, yay, enemies. Yay, growth. Yay, love. Yay, enlightenment. Yay, power. Yay, expansion. Yay, transformation. Yay, enemies. I'm going to talk about 3 kinds of enemies. We're going to start close and move out because it's the ones closest to us that we can learn the most from. I'm pretty sure it was Ram Dass. I'm pretty sure it was Ram Dass talking about his father. And he said, you're enlightened when your family finally thinks you are. Well, guess what? My family doesn't think I am, so I've got a long ways to go. Except most of my family, the ones I grew up with, they're not on this plane of existence anymore, so maybe I have made it, who knows. But anyway, confronting the enemy at home, the person you're out of sync with, closest to you, that don't hold your values or do things the way you want them to do them, who you think have slighted you, they are the first person to deal with in this thing of honoring and approaching and moving into harmony with the enemy. And what I've noticed is it seems like they're the ones that we have the hardest time talking to. When I used to do coaching, a lot of times it's how do I talk to somebody? How do I approach somebody? I need to tell them something. Well, actually, they never say they need to tell them anything. They usually approach it like, this person did this. What am I going to do? And I said, well, how about talking to them? I can't talk to them. I can't approach them. If we don't talk to them, if we are out of sync with someone, and I look at it this way, how many of you have ever gone on one of those bridges, those bridges that span a canyon or a river, and it's on ropes, and you go up and down? And then because I had to cross one of these when I was in the 5th grade. I had to cross the river, and there was a rope bridge. And it was always the same student would go ahead of everybody and start doing this on the bridge. And the rest of us couldn't get across because we weren't in sync with him. So when someone is out of sync, it creates havoc. But are you going to be the one that will create or reestablish the harmony? Are you the one that, instead of talking about them and resenting them and then taking the resentment out on someone else? Because I've noticed that if you don't, for people, for myself and others, if we don't handle that resentment, it goes sideways. And that's why people get crabby with clerks. And probably it's why people get crabby with politicians, because they're not speaking to the person in their own house. They're not saying what they need to say to the person in their own house. So Jesus said it this way: if you want to go to God and you want to pray and you want to ask for something, if you even want to just give a gift, if you want to celebrate the Lord, you can't do it if you are out in any way with anyone. Go settle it with them and then go talk to your God. Because if you're making someone definitely wrong, guess what? Wrong lives in you. And if wrong lives within you, you can't connect with that which is always right. And that you're right. You can't. So Jesus said, go settle it. In the 12-step program, it's called making amends. They may have hurt you, but you have to say what your part of it was. You have to meet them in the middle of the bridge. I did a program many years ago. My goodness, it was, at least 25 years ago, called The Forum. Can I just say, the Forum's good. Est was better. Now, Est gotcha. Anyway, but the forum, part of the forum is who are you out with? Go and talk to them. Make amends. Say you're sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. Well, then tell them you're not sorry and you're sorry you're not sorry. But somebody goes and makes the first step. I'm shocked and amazed that in our spiritual community we have a spoken and actually written way of communicating that we suggest for everybody, which is if you've got an issue, go to the person involved. And we still have crosstalk. We still have chatter over here and chatter over there. That doesn't settle anything. Make amends. Goodness gracious. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard because I have difficulty with it. It's called vulnerability. But in that vulnerability, you'll find your innocence. And in that innocence, you'll find your connection to God. The next enemy to embrace is the enemy in your tribe that you think went rogue. In the Bible, Jesus explains it this way. He said, well, he didn't say. What he did was he welcomed a tax collector into his posse of 12. Now, a tax collector was the worst kind of person to those villages because the tax collector didn't come from Rome. They didn't come from some sort of hierarchical government. The tax collector lived in the village and knew the people in the village and knew how much the people made and how much he could get out of them. He was like a spy in the middle of this group of communal people, and people resented the tax collectors. And you know that Jesus was rogue when he asked a tax collector to be one of his disciples. What Jesus did is he did not exclude, he purposely included. Purposely included. There's a poem that says, he had the intention to keep me out, so he drew a circle to keep me out. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in. I have a similar issue in a community that I belong to called my neighborhood. And I have a neighbor who has let noise grow exponentially as long as they've lived there on the 4th of July. And I expected something to happen about 9, but no, this year they started at 5 in the afternoon and went till 1. And I was just more and more annoyed. But Love and I have to have the wit to win. I need to draw a circle and take them in. So when this virus is over, I have to throw a barbecue or something else and invite them over and let them meet my horses who become afraid with all of the the fireworks going on, and I need to let them see my dog and my cat that tremble. The last part of enemy is the enemy that seems so far out there that we don't have to connect with them. They're not a part of us. They're not in our inner circle. They're not even in our outer circle. They're just out there. The third kind of enemy is political or a social enemy. At the time of Jesus, Palestine was influenced by the Romans, and no one could escape that influence. And yet, there's a beautiful story of Jesus healing the servant of one of the Roman captains. And that whole story was I don't know if it was true or not, it could have been, but for them to be talking and for him to be healing and for the soldier to be witnessing and acknowledging his power, all of that was an amazing story. And it's important to realize that when we have these outer bits, sometimes what can happen is that to stay separate, we make people wrong and actually subhuman through name calling. In the World War II, Germans got a name. In World War II, the Japanese got caricatures so that they weren't like us, so that we didn't have to care about them. If anyone can be reduced to a soundbite, anyone can be disregarded, and their connection to us is severed. And when we sever our connection to others, we sever our connection to our God, because it's all one. Back to the old oneness thing. We're all one. There is one. We are interconnected. To sever is to sever our soul in some way, shape, or form. Our own sense of oneness. We do that right now with sound bites about politicians and another party. We make generalizations about government workers and people of color, any color. Who wants to be a generalization? Nobody wants to be a generalization. Instead of walking into the middle of that swinging bridge, going up and down, we just stand back and call names. Love gets with the rhythm and moves in and identifies with, so that harmony can be reestablished. It doesn't mean we re-identify with a habit or an attitude or something that's out of sync with us, but we re-identify human to human, colleague to colleague, person to person. And that feels good. It feels good. So I'm going to ask Joel to play some closing music for us. Do you know love can build a bridge? That's the one. Now, a lot of times when we do a closing prayer, if I were watching a bunch of people, they would probably put their head down and they'd close their eyes. And because the music's nice, they might rock back and forth, which is a good spiritual practice, by the way. Do you know that rocking helps open up the part of our brain that lets us know unitive consciousness? There's actually a part of our brain that knows our connection to all life. And rocking or moving helps to establish that. So, good. Whatever you're doing, if you don't have to embarrass yourself, you're not at Starbucks privately looking at your iPhone. Or if you are, who cares? You might get other people rocking. Maybe that's what we should do. You've heard of the holy rollers. Let's be the holy rockers. Let's go. Let's just move, because we're so stuck in our heads, and to start to move allows that part of our brain that knows unitive consciousness to open up, and we can start to do that, and we just allow ourselves to say, okay, I can do this. But don't close your eyes. See, too often we close our eyes, which means that we just sort of ruminate in our own stew, our own juices. Our own fears, our own doubts, our own thoughts, our own prejudices, our own reasons, our own history, our own story. No. Think of the beautiful, absolutely fabulous paintings of saints. Few of them are looking down. Few are looking down except to bless. No. Mary looks down to bless, but Mary was looking up. The saints are looking up. They are not looking at the world as it seems. They are looking at the creator of the world. They are looking at the creator of our future. They are looking at the deliverer of our life, the delivering us from fear and our inability to love. And therefore, they're looking to the creator of freedom that comes from within and expresses outwards. So look up. And let that Spirit of God inform you of who you need to make amends with. Who have you been talking about instead of talking to? Who do you whisper about, even in your own head, instead of going and saying, you got to forgive me. I've made up stories about you. And I don't want to live in that story anymore. And then I want you to see the neighbor that you want to put outside, that you want, like, who do you want to send to the far reaches of another neighborhood? And see love move out from you to include them. And now allow that same inspiration to let you see that love can build a bridge. We have put way too much attention on differences and way too much attention on them and us. Way too much attention on ideological differences. And let the Spirit of love show you that we are the body of the living one. And inform you on how you can make that body healthier. And in so doing, you become healthier too. Look up. Look up into the hills, from whence comest thou salvation, which means saving us from our fears, saving us from our wants, giving us the power to worship in a way that is powerful for us, and the speech that will set us free. And so it is.